The following episode of The Kingdom of Isolation contains footage from the film being discussed. The footage is used solely for the purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Please support the animators by watching this film on Disney Plus or home media where available. This episode also contains spoilers throughout. My fellow Disney fans, welcome to the Kingdom of Isolation, where in times of trouble, why not celebrate the magic of Disney? My name is Kenzie, and today we're going to be looking at 101 Dalmatians 2 Patch's London Adventure, released direct-to-video in 2003. But before we get into the sequel, let's spend a little time with the original first, shall we? The original film first released in 1961, and it introduced the audiences to Pongo, Perdita, and their extraordinary family of spotted pups. It's a timeless story of rescue, family bonds, and the battle against the villainous Cruella de Vil, and it captured the hearts of generations and cemented its status as a Disney masterpiece. And it was also the first film at the time to use the Xerox animation style, which... it's difficult to describe without actually showing you an example where the pencil sketching lines are still visible when you put the color onto the frames. With 101 Dalmatians 2, the story continues the legacy, and it picks up shortly after the original's triumphant conclusion, which finds the Dalmatian family adjusting to their new life together. And also, the spotlight is now shining on one of those particular Dalmatian pups, Patch, who is just... I honestly can't find any words to describe how funny he is. He begins to feel lost in this sea of spots, yearning to stand out above the crowd and be unique. He sets off on an adventure through the vibrant streets of London. And during his journey, he encounters Thunderbolt, his favorite television hero, and is swept up in an exciting escapade brimming with heart, humor, and of course, the return of the...
Meanwhile, thousands of miles away.
The spirit of the first film, the sequel weaves in themes of family, individuality, and courage, while introducing new settings and memorable characters that expand the world first imagined in the original animation, which was based on the book of the same name. This episode will guide us through the connections between the two films, highlighting how the sequel honors the original's legacy while offering fresh perspectives and adventures. Whether you grew up with the classic or are discovering the Dalmatians for the first time, this film promises to be a delightful continuation of the unforgettable story that started it all. Actually, now that I'm reading this, Now that I'm reading this, the way I've actually written this, it actually sounds like the blurb you read on the back of the VHS cases or DVD covers. Oh boy. Anyway, although this film premiered in 2003, it was produced in 2002, according to the credits. Again, this is what happens when you release too many things at once. The film's plot of the Radcliffe family moving out into a farm place in the country was slightly teased at the end of the first film, where Roger said, upon discovering that they now have 101 dogs, that they, with the money made from his songs, would buy a big place out in the country, the Dalmatian plantation. Now, unlike in the first 101 Dalmatians, which used only British actors to reflect the film's setting in England, many of the characters in the sequels were done by American actors doing British accents. A few exceptions being Samuel West as Pongo and Tim Bentinck as Roger. And it's the first Disney direct-to-video sequel to use full opening credits. Speaking of which... I miss this sort of creativity with the opening logo. The music here is provided by Richard Gibbs, who has worked alongside the likes of Chaka Khan and Tom Jones. He provided the main theme for Battlestar Galactica and also composed for Like Mike and the Eddie Murphy Dr. Dolittle film in 1998. These opening titles are very creative, with just a whole load of spots as we head back to Pongo and Roger's flat, with narration provided by Pongo, voiced by Samuel West, with this being his only voice role, much like Rod Taylor in the original. Rod Taylor, who voiced Pongo in the original 1961 film, was not offered to reprise his role for this film, and his voice had become too weak to voice the character, hence why it wasn't offered to him. Roger is voiced by Tim Tentink, starts writing a new song about spots. Tim's best known for being part of the BBC Radio 4 series, The Archers, which has been going for goodness knows how long at this point.
And they've left little spots in the loo.
Roger, are you packing or playing?
Yeah, he's doing both, supposedly. Also, hello, Jodie Benson, voicing Anita here. Jodie was last seen as Lady in Lady and the Tramp 2. Top right of your screens if you want to see that episode. It is weird hearing Jodie Benson's voice not being used for Ariel, considering how used we are to her being Ariel. Now, Anita is singing the Dalmatian Plantation song from the first film. Perdita is voiced by Kath Soucie, last seen as Wendy in Return to Neverland. She's with Patch, who's voiced by Bobby Lockwood, who made an appearance for a run of episodes on Casualty a few years ago.
But you know your show doesn't start until after. Oh dear.
Yeah, Perdita knows what's about to happen. Patch doesn't get anything, sadly, leaving him to go hungry. Even the bag is empty. Still, time for the Thunderbolt Adventure Hour.
Starring Thunderbolt, the one-of-a-kind wonder dog, and his trusty sidekick.
Oh boy, even the announcer sounds dejected at having to deal with the unfunny Jason Alexander. I told you not to use your voice again! Annoyingly, he has a direct-to-video Tom and Jerry film under his belt. Mr. Unfunny was just in the last episode as the useless gargoyle. And this kid in the show isn't much better.
Help, Thunderbolt, save me! Help, Thunderbolt, save me! Help, Thunderbolt, save me! Help, Thunderbolt, save me!
Alright, I get it!
Thunderbolt leaps onto the train with lightning and saves the day.
Watch this! Thunder's gonna grab the whip! Patch! You're gonna spoil it again!
No, he just knows how the show works. Side note, what do the kids have against Patch? Thunderbolt's breed is a German Shepherd, while Lil Lightning's breed is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi. Dirty Dawson is now in the carriage that contains a mad bull. Dawson is voiced by Say the Line, Peter!
Guess who? Guess who? It's him again!
Disney legend Jim Cummings! Patch is made fun of for trying to mimic his hero, only to hear that Thunderbolt is coming to London, giving Patch a huge opportunity to stand out from the crowd. Nanny, voiced by Mary McLeod in her final film role before passing away in 2016, makes a hint at Mary Poppins with the name of the farm they're all heading to, Cherry Tree Farm. Now, how is this referencing Mary Poppins, I hear you ask? Cherry Tree Lane.
And best of all, we'll be miles away from that evil, ugly monster, Cruella de Vil!
You have clearly learned nothing, and you never will. She's on probation for what she did in the last film, meaning she's not allowed to buy any furs and has a restraining order on top of that, with a mangled car to boot. You know how long it's been since I got to do that gag? It is so cathartic seeing Cruella put in her place. She's voiced this time by Susan Blakesley, and Suzanne Blakesley, I should say. Suzanne's been Wanda in Fairly Odd Parents. She's been in BioShock. She's been in the English dub of Tales from Earthsea, one of Studio Ghibli's less loved films, directed by Goro Miyazaki. Still trying to work out how I'm going to cover those films, but I'll work something out. She's also been in Shrek the Third. Now, that's a very specific thing to have as an art exhibit. A singular dot in the middle of a blank white canvas. We're then introduced to Lars, who's voiced by Martin Short, who has 2 Emmys to his name. One from a tribute to Mel Brooks, and another from SCTV Network. Now, actually, last time we saw Martin Short in The Kingdom of Isolation, he was in Treasure Planet as Ben.
I will create a masterpiece if you will be my muse.
Can we just take a moment to acknowledge how expressive Lars is? During the art exhibit scene, Lars' painting, a blank canvas with a plain black dot in the middle, closely resembles a famous painting done by Kazimir Malevich, known as the Black Square. The first rendition being released in 1916. Back at the flat, Patch struggles to sleep before trying to get some encouragement from Pongo.
Do you think I'm one of a kind, or just one of 101?
101. That's it.
And this breaks Patch's heart, leading him to sleep in the empty K9 Crunchy's bag. Everyone moves, leaving Patch behind. What a surprise! We've got some Home Alone references as well. Patch manages to catch the K9 Crunchy's van, and the puppies immediately settle into their life in their new home with all the room in the world to run and frolic in. Back in London, Patch makes it to the Thunderbolt auditions, where we get cameos from Max from The Little Mermaid and Jock from Lady and the Tramp.
Little lightning!
What a surprise! The sidekick is reduced to unfunny comedy. I'm telling you, Jason is on the same level of unfunny as Aquafina. Case in point, Lightning is completely shunted to the side just so the girls can fawn over Thunderbolt. Haven't seen that cliche before. And Thunderbolt is voiced by Barry Bostwick, who's got a very notable role, which is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year at time of recording, Brad from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And the auditions are underway, and the dogs just need to do their best heroic bark. Patch's turn next, and it all goes south.
Listen, Thunder, what happens is you die. I don't believe it.
Wait, what? Thunderbolt actually thrives at the opportunity, only to find out the auditions were to replace him. Then Lightning has an idea where Thunderbolt can go save the day in the real world. Finally, something competent from the useless Canadian. I'm not used to saying the useless Canadian. It just came out. Finally, something competent from the useless comedian for once. Patch crosses paths with Thunderbolt again and starts fanboying hard.
Now, smile for the cameras. Hey, that's strange. Where are all the photographers?
This is basically Bolt before Bolt. Back with Cruella, she starts to obsess over trying to get the Dalmatian puppies again, while Patch is with Thunderbolt as his junior deputy. Roll with it. Which leads to a montage where we switch between Lars trying to create art for Cruella while Thunderbolt is trying to perform heroically in public. With minimal success, all while Will Young's Try Again is playing. Will Young was actually the first winner of Pop Idol here in the UK, beating Gareth Gates in 2002. And this was like the precursor to the X Factor.
Try again. Hey, get over on the right side of the road, buddy.
Honestly, how many times are you going to use that joke?
Meanwhile, thousands of miles away.
Lightning gives the producer the idea of using him as the star after the crew discover Thunderbolt is missing. True intentions, however, are showing, all out of spite and jealousy.
A whole new direction.
Next to villains and antagonists I can't take seriously, the sidekicks who decide to become absolute scum are even worse, especially when the sidekicks are supposed to be played only for comedy.
Yes! Sacrifices must be made!
Take notes, Jason. This is how you antagonist. She heads to Anita's old address only to find it's been sold. Cruella gets the new address from the paper while Anita gets the paper to find Patch on the front page, which they don't bother reading yet.
There's 101 of us.
101 Dalmatians?
Hey, roll credits! Back on the farm, chickens are chased into the house and into Roger's music room, revealing Patch is still in London, where Cruella frees Jasper and Horace, voiced by Jeff Bennett and Maurice LaMarche, respectively. Maurice was last seen in Zootropolis as Mr. Pig, while Jeff was just in Return to Neverland.
Well, if she wants us to work for her this time, we won't be made fools of.
Also, Jason, this is how you be funny! Jasper pulls it off in stride and yeets the truck to the farm and steals every last one of the Dalmatians. All 98 of them. Now, where's the 99? Patch makes 99, Pongo 100, Perdita 101. Nanny does try to save them, only to be put down a well. In a weird case of deja vu here. At least it's a different method instead of rinse, repeat, recycle. Cruella has all the puppies, and Lars is finding all of this adorable.
I want you to make art with the puppies. Use their coats as canvases. Create a masterpiece in a new medium. Together, you and I will stun the art world with our ruthless originality.
Never changed, you crazy unhinged lunatic. Never change. Lars is not on board with the idea, leading to a callback to the first film.
Poison them, drown them.
Bash them in the head.
I may be eccentric, but I am not
A sicko!
And did I forget to mention this is where Cruella snaps? Time for this film's Twilight bark to let the city know the Dalmatians are in trouble. Again. The music here definitely matches the intensity of the moment. Thunderbolt manages to decipher the Twilight bark. Dalmatians trapped in a warehouse by Cruella.
Hey, what a coincidence. You come from a family of 101 too. What's the matter, kid?
That is my family.
Thunderbolt helps Patch, and it's time for the mission to start. Except, Lightning starts to get jealous again.
Isn't he just a dream?
More like a nightmare? What if Blunderbolt gets lucky and succeeds?
He will. Accept it. You will never be on his level. You don't even deserve to be a sidekick. That is how useless you are, you useless comedian. So the useless comedian decides to try and help. Great. Just great. Patch tries to run through the plan with Thunderbolt, only for the useless comedian to completely ignore it. Jason Alexander, the useless idiot comedian, would you please
Shut the hell up!
Full frontal assault is what you do when you have been spotted, not when you're trying to sneak in. Cruella knocks Thunderbolt out. Congratulations, idiot! So the useless comedian decides to monologue, which I refuse to take seriously.
But we don't need any of that. This is Thunderbolt. Villains always cringe in fear whenever Thunderbolt is here.
How about you stay out of the way forever? You cannot be a villain if you cannot be taken seriously. Even the best comedians wouldn't work as a villain if you don't find a way to make the character intimidating. You are a useless sidekick who stinks of jealousy and just wants the spotlight all to yourself. It will never be your show! Patch's heart is broken after it's outed that Thunderbolt lied to him. You really do have to feel for Patch, and it hurts hearing him say he's just 101 again. He then one of his siblings gives him some inspiration thanks to episode 18. While Jasper and Horace are sleeping, Patch helps the others escape, except for Thunderbolt, who decides to stay behind. Now, Jeff Bennett originally auditioned for Pongo, and Samuel West originally auditioned for Jasper. Both immediately switched their roles after learning that West can do a better British voice for Pongo, and that Bennett can do a better Cockney voice for Jasper. Patch manages to lead the trio downstairs, allowing the Dalmatians to escape with the help of one of the canvases as a makeshift trampoline. Unsurprisingly, Patch doesn't make it a as the trio start chasing it. At least he uses the environment to get through the roof and onto the bus. While that chase is ongoing, the film crew changed the show to the Lil Lightning Adventure Hour. Ugh. Just hearing the name makes me sick. Patch manages to recreate the last episode he just saw and defeats Cruella and helps his brother back onto the bus, all while the useless Canadian screams like a coward, "This is why you will never be a villain!" Patch holds off the trio to allow his siblings to escape. With the help of Thunderbolt and Lars, Thunderbolt delays the trio to allow the Dalmatians to escape, faking his death and causing the useless comedian to change allegiances yet again. Pick a side and stick to it, damn it! Our villain trio and the useless Canadian fall into the river and are all arrested, with the useless comedian taken away by police dogs, and Cruella is taken to a mental institute when all she can do is claim that she sees spots everywhere and oh, comedy gold here. Thanks to Patch's heroics, everyone makes the paper and we get a post-credit scene of an episode of the show that includes the Dalmatians. Man, I needed that after the train wrecks of Cinderella 2 and Hunchback 2. Time for the scores. Please be better than the last two episodes, please! The story gets a 7, and we're already off to a good start. This film is a definite improvement over the previous sequels I've covered, offering genuine moments of tension and character development, especially for Patch. The emotional beats resonate well, and the escape sequence adds excitement. However, the incessant antics of the so-called useless comedian detract from the overall impact, preventing the story from reaching its full potential. Still, it's a solid entry that manages to entertain and deliver a satisfying conclusion. The characters, I'm going to give a 6. The characters in this sequel are a mixed bag. Patch stands out with real growth and emotional depth, making him easy to root for as he pursues his own identity and heroism. However, supporting roles like Thunderbolt and the so-called useless comedian are far less compelling, with the latter often grating and undermining the film's tension. While some villains and side characters are a bit of colour, their lack of consistency and menace holds the ensemble back from truly being memorable. The visuals, I'm going to give a 6. Visually, the film sits firmly in the middle of the pack. The animation quality is serviceable, with some clever touches during the action sequences and a few charming backgrounds that evoke the original style. However, there's an overall lack of polish and creative flair compared to the first film. And some scenes feel rather flat or uninspired. While not terrible, the visuals don't elevate the story in any significant way, making for an experience that's pleasant to watch, but hardly remarkable. The soundtrack, I'm going to give a 3.5. The soundtrack is one of the weaker aspects of the film. While it attempts to capture the adventurous spirit of the story, the music often feels repetitive and lacks memorable melodies that made the original so beloved. The background score does little to heighten the emotional stakes or action sequences, resulting in a rather forgettable auditory experience. Ultimately, the soundtrack fails to stand out and contributes minimally to the film's overall atmosphere. The legacy. In terms of the film's legacy, this sequel leaves a modest mark. It received a 67% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, indicating a mixed but slightly positive reception from critics. Additionally, the film was adapted into a PlayStation 1 game, which, while not a classic, provided some extra entertainment for the fans of the film. Overall, the legacy is middling, failing to achieve the enduring popularity or influence of the original, but still managing to carve out a small place in the franchise's history. And the legacy, I'm going to give a 4 as a result of that. So the overall score of 53% reflects a film that with both strengths and weaknesses. While the story and character development, particularly for Patch, show genuine improvement and deliver engaging moments, the film is let down by less compelling supporting characters, middling visuals, and a weak soundtrack. The legacy is modest, with a film with the movie receiving a mixed critical reception and only a small cultural footprint. This balanced assessment results in a score that indicates the sequel is entertaining in parts, but falls short of being a truly memorable or outstanding entry within its franchise. Aside from the useless comedian, aside from the useless comedian, this is an okay watch. The score does put this above The Return of Jafar. What a surprise! Another film with the useless comedian in it, who portrayed the abysmal idiot. It's not quite enough to make the top 10. Will our next film manage to break the top 10? Well, we'll find out soon enough. But until then, hope you enjoyed this episode of The Kingdom of Isolation. If you did, hit the thumbs up. And if you want to be part of the Kingdom of Isolation yourself, you can hit the subscribe button down at the bottom, click the bell, and turn on notifications so you don't miss when an episode goes live on this channel. Now, the next episode, we are going to be heading back into the jungle with
The Jungle Book 2.
But until then, make each moment count, and I'll see you guys next time in the Kingdom of Isolation.